There comes a moment deep inside where everything you thought mattered begins to unravel quietly. So quietly you barely notice it at first. You've peeled back the layers, glimpsed the truth behind the noise and the illusion, and at first it feels like awakening, like freedom. But then strangely, the fire that once burned inside starts to dim. Not in a sudden collapse, but like a slow, steady fading, as if your soul has turned down the volume on life and simply forgotten to turn it back up. The chasing stops, the caring fades. It's not anger or apathy, it's a hushed surrender, a tired sigh from the depths of your being. And then the question creeps in, louder than before. Why does seeing clearly leave me feeling so empty? It's a paradox few talk about, the expectation that awakening will set your spirit ablaze. But for many, especially those who dive deep into their own hearts, it feels like a hollowing out instead. I remember a friend, sharp and hungry for truth, devouring every spiritual teacher she could find, then falling into an awakening after her darkest night. She saw through the ego, the false self, the endless chase for validation. Yet just weeks later, she was lying awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to summon even the smallest spark to rise from bed. "I used to cry over not doing enough," she told me quietly. "Now I don't care if I do anything at all. I thought awakening would light me up, not leave me empty." Carl Jung, who understood the psyche deeper than most, spoke of this fog long ago, though he never framed it as a spiritual fad. He said true awakening isn't about imagining light, it's about making the darkness conscious. Beautiful words that mask a difficult truth. Awakening marks the death of who you thought you were. The stories, the goals, the roles that shaped your life crumble. Your career, your relationships, your very sense of time feels like it's falling apart. But here's the catch. Your ego isn't gone. It's lost, confused, wandering without a map. And without a new map, motivation slips away. So it's not depression or laziness, it's limbo. You've stepped out of one world but haven't found footing in another. This isn't failure. It's a sacred ancient pause, a void where transformation brews. Jung warned that modern life rushes to escape this space, but it's essential. This emptiness is the birthplace of your true self, the crucible where real individuation happens. No one ever prepares you for this. No one tells you that the loss of your old drive could be the greatest spiritual upgrade of all. If you felt this fog, this strange quiet where the old ambitions no longer call you, know that you're in the midst of a profound inner shift. It's not your goals failing. It's your whole motivation system collapsing to rebuild anew. The playlists of hustle, the lists, the plans, they don't move you anymore. Not because you're broken, but because your soul is reprogramming itself. Jung saw this long before it became a buzzword online. And now in this silence, the real work begins. For most of your life, your drive came from a version of yourself shaped by ego, the version you wanted others to see, the one hungry for success, approval, and love. That's normal. It's how we grow. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world. But then something shifts. The awakening begins to peel away that mask. Suddenly, you're not performing for applause or chasing the usual goals, because the game itself becomes clear. And here's where things get strange. Without that mask, those old ambitions no longer fit. They were designed for someone you used to be, not who you are now. You feel like an actor who stepped off the stage, lost without a script. That fog of unmotivation, it's not that your fire's gone out. You've just outgrown the fuel that once fed it. Jung taught that we're not meant to be slaves to the ego, but to bring it into harmony with something larger, a process he called individuation. It's about becoming whole, transcending the small self that craves approval, and connecting with the deeper essence inside. The soul that knows no need for status or clarity, only truth. After awakening, your mind starts to reject anything false or forced. The jobs, relationships, ambitions, even those dream boards you once held dear. That's why awakening feels both liberating and unsettling. But Jung warned us not to stop there. Some get stuck, mistaking awakening for a permission slip to check out, float away, and numb themselves. confusing detachment with true engagement. The self, however, wants to live through you. It wants to bring a kind of heaven into this messy human experience. It doesn't reject the world. It reshapes your role in it. To step fully into this, you must pass through a strange middle place that Jung captured perfectly but few recognize. It's not glamorous or Instagram-worthy. It's quiet. It's confusing. It looks like sitting still while everything else races past. You're not lost, just in between. You've shed your ego's grip but haven't yet found your footing with the self. This space isn't failure. It's a rite of passage. Yet in today's culture of constant doing, stillness is seen as laziness and pause as paralysis. And so you judge yourself harshly, blocking the very energy your soul is trying to reclaim. Jung called this turning point an antiodromia, the swing of the pendulum from ego-fueled striving to soul-deep stillness. It's a sacred flip from "I must do everything" to "why do anything." Ancient myths call this the hermit phase, the death before rebirth. Like a caterpillar dissolving into goo inside its cocoon, you're neither butterfly nor bug, just raw transformation. This goo isn't productive. It doesn't hustle or grind. It simply is. The ego freaks out, craving action and identity, while the self quietly urges you to let go and trust the unseen work beneath the surface. This is where modern spirituality often falls short, preaching only joy and high vibes, skipping the hard, dark parts. But Jung reminds us that true growth demands facing the shadow, the hidden, uncomfortable pieces we'd rather ignore. Only by integrating these shadows can you become whole. The darkness isn't a detour. It's where the real gold is buried. There's a quiet space inside you that isn't empty. It's sacred. It's where the parts of you that have been pushed down begin to rise up, where your unconscious mind finally finds room to breathe. This isn't failure. It's transformation. Your mind, your soul, they're wise beyond measure. Sometimes they slow everything down. Your motivation, your clarity, even your sense of purpose. Not to hold you back, but to force you to face what's been buried deep within. That's where the real work begins. When you stop fighting this void, something unexpected happens. Motivation starts to return, but it's different now. It's no longer frantic or driven by pressure. Instead, it's softer, older, quieter, like a soul remembering its way home. Carl Jung described this as the emergence of the true self, not as an idea but as a compass within you, guiding your steps gently and with certainty. You've been through the silence, the stillness, the pause where nothing seems to move. Now inside you, something new is stirring. It's not a sudden burst or loud fireworks, but a subtle pull, nudging you not back to what was, but toward what can be. This inner voice speaks not through words, but through feelings, symbols, and the quiet resonance of your own truth. When your ego surrenders and your unconscious blends with your awareness, life shifts. It stops being about mere survival and begins to bloom with meaning. This new way of living isn't flashy. It's often beautifully simple. When your true self leads, you don't rush or chase after things. You respond. Fear of missing out loses its grip, replaced by a calm sense of alignment. Clarity no longer feels like a goal to hunt. It arrives and you recognize it naturally. Living from this place doesn't mean you won't face exhaustion, confusion, or grief. Those are part of being human. But you shed the heavy weight of inner betrayal, that relentless drag of trying to fit into a life that's not yours. You'll notice subtle changes. You create, even without an audience. You say no to things that don't feel right, no matter how appealing they seem on paper. Curiosity replaces checklists, and peace takes precedence over performance. This is a new kind of energy, not fueled by adrenaline, but by deep alignment. Jung called this living symbolically, where your dreams, gut feelings, and meaningful coincidences become trusted guides rather than random noise. In everyday life, it means shifting the questions you ask yourself. Instead of demanding, "What should I do?" you begin to wonder, "What is quietly calling me?" You move from trying to control your path to listening for life's gentle nudges. Ambition doesn't disappear, it transforms. It becomes a devotion to truth, presence, and growth. And in this way, it moves mountains more effortlessly than ego ever could. Now it's sustainable, soulful motivation, not to impress others, but to express who you truly are. It leads you to create, serve, heal, teach, and build, not out of obligation, but because your whole being says yes. If you felt your spark dim after awakening, know this. It's the old fire burning away, clearing space for a flame that won't flicker in the winds of life. Carl Jung never promised an easy road, but being here, listening to this, means you're already walking it. This isn't about reclaiming your old drive. It's about discovering a new one rooted in wholeness rather than performance. Awakening is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming.